Yeah, he
No,
is.
I'm not. Not in the wall. Let me go. I want to go over here. Okay. All right, everyone. So, how long am I supposed to talk for?
No,
It
like
doesn't matter.
15 minutes, some time for Q&A.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I am a WebXR developer. I am also so I'm a software architect because I say that because I've architected two applications that run on WebXR. The first one was we brought EEG into WebVR. We used the Brainduino device, so you could put some electrodes on your forehead, and we would collect basically the voltage would from your brainwaves would become an array of numbers that we basically created a simple server, piped that in Python, and piped that into. We created a WebSocket to send the data streaming into an HTML page, where we ran A-frame to cause the stream of numbers to make our blocks go up and down, and different blocks for the different alpha, beta, theta, delta, and gamma brainwave frequencies. And then it was really cool, but it wasn't something we could really distribute widely because how many people own a Brainduino EEG system in addition to their Oculus Quest. So I said, well, I need to do something else, and so that became my new product, which is coming out soon, and it's a WebXR magazine. And there was just this post by VentureBeat where they said that AR and VR is the future of news, and the future of journalism, and the future of but someone else said to me, well, what's the value of that really? How do I get anything else by seeing the news in 3D? What am I getting? I said, well, look at the different scenarios that we have for news. You could if some incident happens in some country and you want to know what's happening, if you had like augmented reality news, you could have a model of the building, or like someone could run over there and do a quick photogrammetric model of the scene, and that would pop up in 3D for you, so you could get a sense of the place and the people, like sort of close up. And that can include volumetric video. You can make volumetric video, cheaply and quickly with you just need a laptop and a dev camera like the Kinect Desert camera. And so that's what I've been doing. It's what I've been working on. Is sort of like being able to do the news in a new way. So right now it's basically like for WebVR, basically I have videos running. You can move around with teleport, and you can turn left or right with your thumbstick. You can it's got full 6-off space. It has menus. It has this interface. You can change the scale, rotation, and position of a 3D object through like a sort of like carousel. You can rotate objects from one location to the next, and they can inherit the properties of that location. There's probably other ways to do that too, but the point is that it really makes for a very smooth looking interface that lets you navigate through photos and 3D models and 3D interviews and videos to consume content of all shapes and sizes. And then so after I sort of built this interface with WebVR, and it looks as good as the stuff that you see in VR chat, like rooms can be. Like this could be like everything in this room, like including the avatars, could be in WebVR. Like a lot of people have seen Moonrider X.xyz. That's the website where you can play basically a game that's similar to Beat Saber, but it's all a website. And so that's probably the best example of what you can do. There's A-Frame, there's 3JS, there's which A-Frame is a framework, a wrapper that uses 3JS. There's also BabylonJS.com if you want to check that. Babylon was the original alternative 3D graphic engine, alternative to 3JS, but they're both high-level scripting that work on top of WebGL2 or WebGL. which was based sort of on OpenGL2. And then the next stage of web graphics will be web GPU. I'm sorry, web graphics and web VR graphics and web AR graphics. So web GPU comes and we can really, like Metal and like Vulkan, we can start to launch next level graphical shaders that we can start to think about if we had enough processing power, and you could send enough data, if you have maybe you have a longer loading time, if you make your scene more graphically intense, but you could start to play with the kind of power that you have in a person's desktop GPU, but maybe also you could work within the realm of the mobile GPU, and possibly a third option is, because you'll get more users. I think Quest maybe, the first way to get the Oculus Quest may be the best way to get to WebVR, because it sort of has a web browser that works great for WebVR built into the core menu system. And this is something that like if you want to do WebVR, if you wanted to do WebVR on an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive, yeah, you can get the Mozilla Reality browser, you can get Super Medium browser, which I think is not being supported anymore, or you could try the Microsoft Edge browser, but it's just not it's like a top option, sort of like you'd have to go kind of search for ways to do WebVR on the desktop, so targeting maybe your apps for like the Oculus Quest is in terms of your graphic design, and in terms of having fewer triangles, because you're expecting that the chances are that if someone sees this in VR, it's going to be with an Oculus Quest. And what's really great about WebXR is it's also the same code that you write. If you write some complex interface that has fantastic animations and lots of buttons and things you can click and move around and manipulate your 3D data and maybe organize your mind. Like, imagine that you can it's if you can right now, like, we don't, like, I guess what I'm thinking is that there's enormous like, I think that every company that wants to present, because first of all, because it looks cool, second of all, because there's a lot of 3D data in the world. A lot of companies are starting to, with your phone you can make a 3D model, right? And then with your phone you can make not just 3D model of, like, maybe you have a restaurant and you're serving a plate, but you can also make a 3D model of the restaurant, and then you can drop that into WebVR and you can serve it with a link. You can serve it with a link that is a QR code, right? And so every business is gonna, like, at some point it's gonna catch on that businesses just have these websites and so there'll just be a huge growing market for, like, well, hey, there's almost an unlimited amount of, like, hey, we could build like web VR websites for all these companies in the world who would pay for a website, but now that they've seen web VR websites, they need their own web VR website, and so that's sort of like sort of what I dream about. It's almost like an unlimited amount of work in terms of, like, how many companies exist, right? It's where my enthusiasm is. So I see lots of opportunities, and I really believe that we're gonna have like maybe the Oasis that you see in the movies will be web VR based, because it's gonna be the thing that companies will be buying. And I need an app that does that for my company. I basically need a web VR app. That's what they'll say. That's what they'll think. And it'll run on the Oculus Quest, and on top of that, it can run on your phone. Like, my web VR app runs great on iOS. It runs great on the desktop. You can navigate. There's so many different options to navigate. There's like a joystick that you can move forward, left, and right, and if you're on a phone or the desktop. And then I don't know. How long have I gone? Is it time for questions?
Yeah, I think we could you could wrap up, and then we could do questions afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I'm optimistic, because sort of like to recap that, like web GPU is coming, and so the graphics can be potentially next level. We could take more advantage of what's happening on the Quest, and maybe design for the Quest first, because that's what most VR users will have in about a year from now, maybe. If the sales continue, I'm guessing the Quest will be very dominant.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will be, lighter in the future. Hopefully we'll get maybe a Quest that's really glasses, and the rest of the hardware is like, like the Magic Leap, it's a separate thing you can clip on to your waist or something. And yeah, so anyway, so questions, I guess.
I have a first question.
Okay.
How you mentioned these technologies and the hardware is coming. How?
Well, they're here. They're also
here. Yeah, I guess
the growth is coming.
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
The age-old question with new technologies is so when do we think, or I guess I'll phrase my question as, when do we think the first like killer niche use case do you think will come, like in years, like a year, 5 years, so on?
Well, I mean, I hope I'm building it with my app, my magazine.
Yeah.
I hope people will like it.
When do you think that will?
I'm trying to launch it before the end of the year, but I do have like seriously a lot of work to. But you have a hand raised?
Oh yeah. So I've played a little bit with WebAR, but I haven't done any web VR. Like, it's kind of a basic question, but like, how do you use that? Is it like on the phone inside another headset or something, or?
Like,
because the AR, you just look at the phone and you look through like the camera, and it does like normal AR things.
Yeah. So phone on web, when the phone's on web VR, it's very interesting because it doesn't need to track the location of the world. And so basically, you can hold up your screen with one hand and put your thumb on it, and you can basically, push the joystick. You can move forwards or backwards as if you're playing Call of Duty on your phone. Have you tried Call of Duty on iOS?
Yeah. No, I haven't. No.
That's a good Call of Duty on iOS is an amazing example of basically, it's almost like
No, I see what you're saying. That's interesting, but it's not tied to a headset at all, is what you're saying. You just sort of hold up the phone and like look through it. Okay.
Yeah, you can hold up the phone and look through it, or you can look down at your phone actually, and you can rotate the screen by sliding your thumb across the middle of the screen, left and down, up and right, and that rotates the direction you're looking. And then if you want to move, there's a joystick on the screen. You slide your thumb on the joystick, and it'll move you forward, backwards, left, and right. And
so how is that differentiated then from like just using the gyroscope?
You can also use the gyroscope
like in a normal game.
Actually. You can use the gyroscope in a normal game. So you can have it so that a WebVR programmer could have it so that when the user goes to the website, they receive a pop-up and it says, "Would you like to enable the gyroscope or whatever you call it?" And then they say, if the user says yes, then yes, it operates like a VR headset basically, where you get a frame that's based upon where the phone's orientation has changed too. So. And I believe that's IMU based. Yeah, sure. But it's also possible, if you've ever seen with AR on the phone, you know how you can develop like there's a Portal app that's like open source that you can run on your phone, and that brings you in between AR and VR versions of the world. It's just like, it's like instead of you could lock VR to the world and with your phone. I'm not doing that at this point, but that's something we could do. And then
that's interesting.
Because then you're just creating a room that your phone can go through, just as if it was a regular object in VR.
Thank you.
Sure. Another question over here. over there.
Yeah. You mentioned WebVR. I've attempted to use WebVR before. Maybe I'm thinking of a different thing than you are, but it wasn't quite really working. Has it developed in any form since like maybe a while ago, or like is it very readily usable on like HTC Vive and stuff?
Well, I can give you some websites you can check out some examples. It's difficult to get it running on the HTC Vive because you need a special browser like super medium browser. I think Firefox Reality is not yet working.
Yeah, because I tried Chromium and the Firefox browser, and neither of them worked back then.
Well, it works. It's the easiest way to do it is to run it on Oculus Quest. But if you don't have that yet, you can. There must be like a tutorial of how to get it running on Vive. Someone must have figured it out. I got it running
Super medium, or you can get in Steam. I'm pretty sure. I think I've done that with Sketchfab before.
But it totally works. It works. I think a really good way to see it working is if you have a Windows Mixed Reality, because if you go to WebVR in the Edge browser on Microsoft Windows while you have a Windows Mixed Reality headset, and you're going to a WebXR WebVR website, then that is going to load into VR, and that's the easiest way that I know of. Is to use a Windows Mixed Reality headset and Microsoft Edge. I'm not sure if that would work.
I don't have that headset.
You know, it's possible that if you get the Windows Mixed Reality like system, like the software, and you use the Microsoft Edge browser, that it would work in the Vive. That's possible. I haven't tried that yet, but my intuition is that the Oculus Quest is just going to, dominate sales, dominate the desktop VR sales. I don't know, over the course of the whole year of 2020, unless something else launches that people want to buy that's even more interesting than the Quest. I think and the consequence is that people will have more access to web VR, and you have a bigger audience, but your audience will like if you're a developer of software, you might want to whether you're doing web VR or regular apps, you might want to target the Oculus Quest first because of how the market's going to change in 2020, and before targeting other platforms too.
And okay.
Or how easy is it to make something for both WebVR and as a standalone app? Like if you wanted to release it also on like Steam or other platforms?
Well, so we're kind of like I said, the problem with desktop VR with the Vive is it's difficult to find a working solution. I didn't find one, but you can. How easy to
They make a standalone app version of the WebVR application.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have a direct answer, but I may have an indirect answer. So like, there's this. So I don't know the exact answer to your question, but I can sort of address it. There's this app called ExoKit, and it's basically like a Unity wrapper that can run JavaScript, and you can run like all of the WebVR stuff it looks like an application packet, and so people could download that to their system, which could be the Quest or the Magic Leap or the HoloLens 2 or maybe the Nreal device at some point. So it's like a Node.js wrapper. I imagine that it's possible that you could use, because you can take HTML code today, you can take your web app and you can run it as an app on your iOS device. If you you're basically, it's like a Node.js wrapper or something, maybe.
That makes sense.
And I wonder if that would work with WebVR. I've never tried it, but it seems like it should. It's just JavaScript, right? So I don't know.
Cool.
actually, I had one more question.
Okay. Sure.
So, what would you say are the biggest players in the WebXR space right now? The companies. In the talk, you guys mentioned Super Medium, but you said they're not really around anymore. You mentioned it sounded like Firefox and Windows MR are leading. It sounds like Chrome is falling behind. Like, what are the major players? What are the major players, and what are they doing with WebXR right now?
Okay. So so Microsoft is a major player. They're pushing Babylon JS. Firefox is a major player. They're of course selling the Firefox Reality browsers coming to the HoloLens too. Some of the latest news, and I don't know. I think it's already on the Oculus, but it's not like doing WebXR on the Oculus yet. So people are hoping that Firefox Reality browser will it'll continue to improve and it'll be a good option. It's not currently really a good option for anything, but in the future it should be. Google has a major investment in developing WebVR. They're at the core of writing the WebVR spec, which all these companies are signing on to and have signed on to for a long time. The Kronos Group is involved with OpenXR, which was started by Silicon Valley companies. And that's just tied to the WebXR API spec, because the Kronos Group is a standards body, and it's sort of an agreement between major Silicon Valley companies and other companies around the world with related technologies. Like I believe Sony is part of the Kronos Group too. And then so it's interesting. So Facebook has done a lot of work, and a lot of important work, and in putting the Oculus browser up front and center inside the Oculus Quest, but overall they haven't provided a lot of software support for WebVR. They're mostly focused on they're over focused on doing stuff with Unity and Unreal Engine, and I believe that I'm not sure exactly, but I think they also use React to create some VR apps. Not entirely sure how that works. I think the people at Facebook generally like React a lot. That's what I've heard. So there's also so ExoKit's really exciting. Then there's there's it would be better if I could tell you, if I can put together a presentation and come back and talk again. I have like an actual, we could go through a lot more examples of it. Just make a list of companies. There's a lot more to say in terms of what's going on with WebXR and what are the big companies in it, and there's
that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, so it'd be good to come back and I'll bring my slides and well, I'll have a list ready.
Cool.
Any last questions?
I think that's.
I guess that's it.
All right. What's your favorite
ahead.
WebXR app besides your own? If I was gonna go check out something right now or later.
Yeah. I right now I'm recommending if you have an Oculus Quest to try out moonrider.xyz, because it's like playing Beat Saber. And you can just really compare the differences between Beat Saber and Moonrider to see how capable WebXR really is.
Yeah, definitely. I'll check it out.
And then check out create webxr.com and aframe.io and babylonjs.com, 3js.org, and those are some great websites to check out. ExoKit, you want to check out ExoKit Web. That's really cool. Check out 8th Wall. Check out, if you're into augmented reality on iOS, you gotta check out 8th Wall. It's an incredible company. They actually developed their own. 8th Wall is exciting because they basically created 90 web AR apps for major companies around the world in the past year, and they basically developed their own like visual tracking system that doesn't use the IMU of the phone, and they are. It works like it's faster than Google AR Core. It's faster than ARKit, Apple's AR engine, and it runs on a phone from you scan a QR code, and that launches you into an AR application, which is like incredible. Like this, they're just like ahead of the pack. They're ahead of Google and Apple, right? So they're an exciting company. And you can, so I recommend everybody check that out. And the thing is, what's interesting is, Eighth Wall uses A-Frame or Babylon.js or just 3JS. Like it supports all the WebXR tech. Pretty soon, the thing about A-Frame is that pretty soon, sort of the WebXR spec is going to make is going to enable basically anyone to do web AR without a license. It'll be just like that's how web AR is done. Right now, you need to buy the license from Eighth Wall to do what they're doing, but that is going to change when the web AR portion of the WebXR spec is finally released by the committee that's doing the web AR spec, which is Google and another company seem to be leaders in terms of updating that. A couple of companies. Is that a question over there? Question over here? Okay.
No, I was just scratching my head.
Okay, I think that's my time. Go ahead.
Actually, I just want the last quick question. Which hardware would you say is best for browsing WebXR websites? Is it the Oculus Quest?
Yeah, right now the Oculus Quest is the best.
Okay.
The Nreal is really nice. It's for, I don't know what they're charging right now for it. I thought the Nreal was gonna be like $400 or something, and it would run with your phone. Or looks like the package online is $2,000, but so I don't know if they changed the pricing or if I just haven't seen all the pricing yet. But Nreal is like you only get basically a 3DOF controller, but you get like augmented reality glasses, and they work, and they've got 6DOF in the glasses, and so you could start to bring, I believe you can start to bring web AR stuff to it, and so you wouldn't have to hold up your iPhone. Right now, web AR is like iPhone based, and so if you're developing web AR, it does make sense to program for the phone, for Android and iOS, because then the most users can use your app. And so you would look, if you look at what Eighth Wall has done with their interfaces and how that is a different way of writing interfaces. It's a different way of creating programs, a different user experience for sure. If you're doing AR with the phone versus VR with an Oculus Quest. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll get down off the stage now.
Cool. Thank you, Micah.